Mr. Chancellor, President Chakma, distinguished colleagues, graduating class, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for inviting me to share this very special day and to join you in celebrating the many accomplishments of the graduating class of 2012. I also wish to express my sincere appreciation to Weston for the distinction of being accorded an honorary doctorate of science from this preeminent university with a history of more than 100 years of achievement in education, research, and scholarship. To a scientist, there is no greater reward in life than to be recognized by one's peers for contributions to science and technology. And I am proud and humbled to be a graduate of this institution. Now, to begin, I want to offer my sincerest congratulations to the new graduates. You will all be basking in the thrill of your achievements, celebrating with classmates, friends, and family, and turning the page on an important chapter in your life. There may, however, be some among you who would argue and agree at this point in time with B.F. Skinner, who once said, and I quote, "One of the ultimate advantages of an education is simply coming to the end of it." Now, I suspect that some of you may also be reflecting that the reality of 2012 is not exactly what you expected on graduation. It seems that we have gone through 4 years of tumult and turbulence, from a period of rapid growth in 2007, when everything seemed possible, to another marked by global economic crisis, bank failures, bailouts, irresponsible spending by governments and consumers, and this leaving some countries on the precipice of fiscal collapse. Now, Canada has escaped the worst of this, but I cannot, in all honesty, tell you that we will soon be back to the halcyon days of 5 years ago. I can, however, remind you of the words of Albert Einstein, who once said, and I quote, "From discord find harmony. In the middle of difficulty lies opportunity." I can also reassure you on several counts. First of all, you have an invaluable asset, a degree from a world-renowned university, something which you cannot buy on the open market at any price. As if to emphasize this, a headline I noticed last week in the International Herald Tribune said, and I quote, "Employment prospects gloomy for young Americans without degrees." It went on to say that full-time employment amongst high school graduates without degrees in 2009 to 2011 was only 16%. There's the advantage of a degree. Secondly, you have the solid foundation of an education in science to prepare you for the future. Remember that education, lifelong learning, and knowledge, more so in the 21st century than at any time before in history, will be the keys to your future and to prosperity, economic well-being, and quality of life. Indeed, I really honestly would love to be in your place as young graduates with 30 to 40 years ahead of you in one of the most exciting and challenging periods in the history of the human race, where the opportunity to make your mark has never been better. Still, with all of the current economic uncertainty, you might be wondering, what were the defining moments of my education and career development? Well, it's a story, I think, which might resonate with some of the families here, so let me explain. I was born, as John Corrigan has said, in the coal mining area of County Durham, England. My father was a coal miner. My grandfather was a coal miner, I beg your pardon. A tiny man who came home from the pit every day covered in black coal dust. My father did not go down the mine, he was a coke maker, burning coal in beehive ovens with limited oxygen to make high-quality coke for the steel industry. He was a hard-working laborer all his life. The most he ever earned was £15, about $25 a week, and I vividly remember the deep calluses on his hands in the winter, the result of constant exposure to heat, steam, and freezing cold water. I was born at the beginning of the Second World War, the second of 3 children. My mother and father did not go to school beyond age 13, and looking back, I can only wonder in amazement how they managed to bring up, educate, and get all 3 of their children through university. 2 brothers with a PhD and a sister with a BA, all on £15 a week. They would be very proud to be here on this day. As a child, I was fascinated by my grandfather's acetylene miner's lamp. Acetylene gas, which when lit provides the flame for the lamp, is produced by dropping water from a reservoir onto chunks of calcium carbide. The miners charged their lamps on entering the mine and emptied the product, calcium oxide plus unused calcium carbide, onto a pile on finishing their shift. As children, we sifted through the white pile of lime for unused calcium carbide, a treasure trove of excitement and experiment for us. Drop a few pieces into water in a bottle, screw the cap, and retire a safe distance until the cap blows or the bottle explodes. Great fun on dark nights. One other event which had a paramount impact on my choice of career was when my chemistry teacher at grammar school asked me if I would like the job of lab boy, setting up chemistry demonstrations and experiments for the classes, all for the princely sum of £1 per month, less than $2. My chemistry never looked back. I did new, exciting, and deliciously dangerous experiments after class. After all, I had the keys to the lab. Things that no one would allow these days. But the main point is that I came to know chemistry as an experimental science. I learned to observe, record, and analyze the keys of the scientific method. And I have never lost the excitement of making new discoveries and thinking beyond to the next frontier. Well, I worked so hard in my chemistry thanks to the lessons I learned from my father that I received a state scholarship to attend university, graduating with an honors BSc and continuing on to a PhD. I came to Canada in 1965 as an assistant professor at Memorial, met my wife on an airplane, and the rest, as they say, is history. So my first message to you all is this: work hard and find your special interest. The late Steve Jobs said, and I quote, "Don't be trapped in a job you don't love. Live your dream. Follow your curiosity and intuition." End of quote. So take pride in what you have achieved, but don't ever stop learning. Your degree is a beginning, not an end. As William Butler Yeats once said, and I quote, "Education is not the filling of a pail, but the lighting of a fire." There's also a Chinese proverb which states, "Learning is like rowing upstream. Not to advance is to fall back." Now, I'd like to briefly address the topic of revolutionary change, the information and knowledge explosion, and the way in which technological innovation is increasingly shaping our lives and opening up new vistas of opportunity for you, the next generation of knowledge workers. To put the knowledge explosion in context, it took from year 1 AD to 1750 to double man's scientific knowledge. But it also doubled from 1900 to 1950, and again from 1950 to 1960. Knowledge quadrupled in the 70s and is now growing exponentially. We are generating so much information that, as Freeman Dyson, the renowned physicist, recently expressed it, our fundamental understanding is like tiny islands awash in an ocean of information. Now, the driver of this resides in 3 20th century inventions: the first electronic digital computer, the transistor, and the microprocessor. These advances, of course, sparked the computer revolution. And with developments in telecommunications and the emergence of the internet, we have witnessed the convergence of information and communications technologies whose overall impact on civilization cannot really yet be imagined. New innovations constantly transform the landscape. Who would have thought of the influence of social media such as Facebook and Twitter even 5 years ago? So we are only beginning to reap the harvest of these technologies. Information technology is being applied to every area of human endeavor, from electronic commerce to deciphering the genetic code of human and other genomes, delivering personalized medicine, and designing new materials. One of the remarkable aspects of the beginning of the 20th century is that 3 scientific revolutions are occurring simultaneously: the ICT explosion, revolutionary developments in the life sciences and molecular biology, and the emergence of nanotechnology, science and engineering at the atomic scale, as an enabling interdisciplinary technology. These developments are changing the way we do all of science, natural, engineering, and social, to tackle the grand challenges of the world: climate change, environmental sustainability, global epidemics and disease, the origins of the universe, understanding the brain, energy sustainability. Now, many of the revolutionary developments in these 3 areas are characterized by one common feature: they all involve interdisciplinary approaches where problems are being addressed by bringing to bear the skills and tools of more than one discipline. Many of the major advances today and tomorrow will occur at interfaces and will be the products of insights from chemistry, biology, physics, material science, computer science, engineering, and the social sciences. International collaboration and teamwork are also critical parts of this new paradigm. Or, as the new paradigm said to the old paradigm, shift happens. Yet the full potential of the ICT revolution, a revolution now much more important to mankind than even the Industrial Revolution of the 18th century, was certainly not foreseen by those knowledgeable about the technologies when they were invented. Here are just a few quotes to illustrate what I mean. In Popular Mechanics, March of 1949, I quote, "Where a calculator on the ENIAC, the original computer, is equipped with 18,000 vacuum tubes and weighs 30 tons, computers in the future may have only 1,000 vacuum tubes and perhaps weigh 1.5 tons. IBM Chairman Thomas Watson in 1943, "I think there is a world market for maybe 5 computers." And Digital Equipment Corporation Chairman Ken Olsen in 1977, "There is no reason anyone would want a computer in their home." Lord Kelvin, way back in 1897, "Radio has no future." And noted mathematician and physicist John von Neumann, and I quote, "A few decades hence, energy may be free, just like the unmetered air." Truly, science can make fools of even the best prognosticators. So you're probably asking, with all of this technological change, what can we expect to see in the future? Well, I don't have time, fortunately, to make myself look completely foolish, but I would like to finish by saying a few words about my favorite topic, the revolution occurring in nanotechnology, the synthesis, manipulation, and characterization of materials and devices at the atomic or molecular scale. The discovery and use of new materials has defined and influenced societal development throughout history. Today, materials lie at the core of almost every technology we use in the 21st century, and we depend on materials development to drive our industry, improve our lives, and find sustainable solutions to global problems. New carbon materials with nanostructures, C60 in 1985, carbon nanotubes in 1991, and the elucidation of the remarkable properties of graphene were among the most exciting scientific developments of the last 30 years. 2 Nobel Prizes were awarded for these discoveries. Graphene, a 2-dimensional single-atom sheet of carbon atoms, is the thinnest and strongest material in the universe, with an electrical conductivity 6 times that of copper and record thermal conductivity. And the superb electronic properties of graphene suggest it will be the successor to silicon in electronic circuits, a material that can outperform silicon in terms of speed, price, and energy consumption. Carbon fiber nanocomposites are the materials of choice for building lighter, fuel-efficient aircraft such as the Boeing 787 Dreamliner, and these materials are on the verge of mass production for the automotive industry. Nanotechnology has also given us membranes for purification and separation, new biomaterials for tissue engineering, nanoparticles for targeted cancer therapy, lab-on-a-chip devices for biodiagnosis, and even nanocrystalline titanium dioxide in concrete to keep buildings white. My point is that nanotechnology has been incredibly successful in advancing knowledge, fostering technology development, building new industries, and uniquely integrating science and engineering. So as science graduates from one of Canada's leading universities, you will be influenced by and contribute to these developments in the future. So my concluding advice is this: recognize that your background in science opens doors to career opportunities well beyond the confines of your own discipline. Keep on learning, embrace change, and don't be afraid to take a risk if one is called for. As D. Lloyd George, past Prime Minister of England, once said, "Don't be afraid to take a big step if one is indicated. You can't cross a chasm in 2 small jumps." So let me finish with a story about Albert Einstein, which might be helpful in determining your career path. Einstein was on a train one day in New Jersey when the ticket collector came around to check the tickets. Everyone in the compartment dutifully surrendered their tickets, but when the collector came to Einstein, it was clear that he could not find his after searching his pockets and his bag. The ticket collector then said, "Dr. Einstein, everybody knows who you are. Surely Princeton can afford to buy you a new ticket." At which Einstein stopped searching and said, "It's not the money I'm worried about. I need to find the ticket to figure out where I'm going." So the moral of the story is, don't worry about the money. Decide on your direction and where you are going, and the money will follow. So good luck and best wishes in your careers.